If you divorce me before 10 years, you get nothing. If you divorce me after 10 years with no child, you still have nothing. I never trusted women, not because they were evil, but because money changes the temperature of love.
That was a man who never trusted women. At 42, he thought he had finally found love. So he made her sign agreements. But what happened next changed everything. I chose a woman who seemed simple. Her name was Elena. She wasn't loud, but she was extremely beautiful. Didn't pretend to be impressed by my cars or by the size of my house. She looked at me like I was a man. That alone made me suspicious, but also curious. Before the wedding, I laid everything bare. The prenup was brutal. If she divorced me before 10 years, she got nothing. If 10 years passed and there was no child, she still got nothing. If she left me with a child, only then would she receive what the law allowed. My lawyers explained it carefully. I watched her face for cracks. She read every page slowly and calmly. Then she signed. "I'm not here for your money," she said. "I want a family." For the first time in years, I believed a woman. The first year was peaceful. She took care of the house and learned my routines. She memorized my moods. She asked questions about my childhood. At night, she held me like someone who wanted to keep me. But the child didn't come. Doctors said nothing was wrong. Let's just be patient. By the third year, she suggested treatment. But nothing worked on her, and I didn't want surrogacy. By the sixth year, hope had become a habit I no longer questioned. So when Elena came into my study one evening, her hands trembling, her eyes wet, I stood before she even spoke. "I think," she whispered, pressing my palm to her stomach. "I think it finally happened." I didn't breathe. She cried softly, the way people do when they want to look overwhelmed, but not hysterical. She said the other doctor wanted to wait, that it was early, that stress could make things disappear. I obeyed every instruction like a believer. No more wines and no more long trips. I watched her body carefully, the way men do when they are waiting to see their name take shape. She bought loose dresses. She complained of nausea. She kept crackers by the bed and vomited loudly in the mornings. She even let me touch her belly at night. I spoke to it when she slept. Behind my back, she was planning a different miracle. She had already contacted an agency abroad, somewhere with laws soft enough to bend quietly. She sent my medical information through an encrypted channel. The surrogate was young, healthy, desperate enough not to ask questions. The timeline was perfect. She would miscarry at 3 months. Grief would buy silence, and silence would buy time. Then months later, she would announce another pregnancy. This one unexpected. This one real. By the time I noticed anything strange, the child would already exist. Blood doesn't ask how it was born. She staged the miscarriage like a performance. One night, she screamed in the bathroom. I broke the door open and found her on the floor, blood between her legs, and she was shaking like a leaf. I held her while she cried, whispering apologies. To me, to the child, to God. I paid for the best doctors and the best therapists. I cancelled meetings and delayed deals. I turned down a merger that would have doubled my net worth. I mourned a child that never existed. She mourned the timing. A month later, I overheard her on the phone. Her voice was so sharp and focused. "The transfer must happen before the end of the year," she said. "No mistakes." He believes the miscarriage was natural. I paused. "Yes, I know the risk, But once the baby is born, he can't deny it. Courts don't care about feelings, only DNA. She laughed softly. I just need time to carry the lie long enough. I didn't feel rage. I felt embarrassed. Not by her, but by myself. Because suddenly, every memory rearranged itself. Her nausea that came on cue. The blood in the bathroom that vanished by morning. The way she never let doctors speak to me directly. The miscarriage wasn't a tragedy. It was a rehearsal. The final nail came that night. She thought I was asleep. I lay still while she whispered into her phone in the dark. Yes, the embryo transferred was successful. No. He doesn't know. He thinks the first pregnancy failed naturally. I'll tell him when it's safe. Once the child is born, he will have no choice. She placed a hand on my chest, as if checking whether I was still breathing. That was the moment everything became true. When the woman sleeping beside me spoke about my blood, like it was leverage. I turned my face to the wall and closed my eyes. Because if I opened them, I would have seen clearly, for the first time, that the marriage was never about love. It was a long, patient theft. And I had just caught her with my future in her hands. The next morning, she did something worse. She bragged. She invited her sister over. She laughed too loudly. She said things, so many things. He doesn't even ask questions anymore. He just wants the child. Men are simple that way. Her sister asked, what if he finds out? Elena smiled. He won't, and even if he does, it will be too late. That sentence became exhibit. It became my evidence. It was recorded, time-stamped, and legally devastating. When I finally moved, it wasn't without anger. It was with paperwork, an annulment, fraud, forgery, conspiracy, a breach of marital contract. The court didn't care that she wanted a child. They cared that she stole one, and from me. Her final mistake wasn't lying. It was believing that motherhood would protect her. Before the law decided whether she deserved it, and by the time she realized the balance had shifted, the child was no longer leverage, it was evidence. She didn't understand at first. When the papers were served, Elena laughed. An actual laugh, light and careless. You can't annul a marriage because of paperwork. Her lawyer didn't laugh. He read, line by line. Silence grew heavier with every page. By the third minute, Elena stopped smiling. No, she said softly. That's not possible. Her lawyer cleared his throat. They have proof of forgery, he said. Digital trails, witnesses, audio, emails. She shook her head, looking at me like I was a stranger. You told me the law wouldn't care how the child was conceived, she whispered. You said DNA is everything. He closed the file. DNA matters, he said, when it's obtained legally. The room changed, not dramatically, just enough. What about the prenup? She asked quickly. The 10 years. He can't touch me before that. Her lawyer didn't meet her eyes. The prenup is void, he said. Fraud nullifies consent. You never entered the marriage in good faith. She swallowed. And the child? She asked. That question finally broke her voice. He exhaled. The court considers the embryo evidence, he said. Not a marital asset. Custody claims don't apply. Her hands began to shake. She stood up fast. You planned this, she said to me, eyes wild. You waited. I said nothing, because silence is terrifying when it no longer belongs to you. She collapsed in the chair. Her shoulders carved inward like a building whose supports had been removed. I did everything right, she whispered. I waited. I followed the timeline. I sacrificed my body. She laughed again. But this time, it broke halfway. I gave you a child. I finally spoke. You tried to take one. Her lawyer gathered his papers. I suggest you cooperate, he said gently. Criminal charges can still be mitigated. She looked up sharply. Criminal? That word landed like a slap. She turned to me, desperate now. You loved me, she said. Say you love me. I searched my memory. There had been tenderness, laughter, nights that felt real. But love doesn't survive intent. I loved who you pretended to be, I said, and I trusted you enough to let you destroy me. That was when she cried. Not the pretty cry she used before. This was ugly, loud, and helpless. I did this for us, she sobbed. I didn't want to live with nothing. You are living with exactly what you brought, I said. When the guards came, she didn't fight. She just kept asking one question, over and over. What do I do now? No one answered her, because some questions are asked too late.